Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome to the official Do Good Better podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Kirby. This show all about small nonprofits doing great big things. And I can think of no better guest doing wonderfully huge things than our friend, Ashley Zach. She's the development director of Someplace Safe. Ashley, how are you today?
I am good. How about you?
I couldn't be better if I tried. And I'm very excited to chat today about Someplace Safe. So let's assume somebody's tuning in for the first time. They find it intriguing. They like your name. They like the Someplace Safe bit, but they have no idea what your organization does. Why don't you give us sort of the high level who, what, where, when, why about Someplace Safe and how you got there?
Sure. Well, thanks for the great introduction this cold morning. Someplace Safe is a wonderful organization I have had the pleasure of working for the past 10 years. Well, just about 10 years. At Someplace Safe, we save lives, quite frankly. Our services are offered to victims of crime, and that's all victims of crime, whether you're a man, woman, child, no matter what you've been victimized by. Our services are free and confidential and available to all victims of crime. So you might be wondering what we actually do then for victims and survivors. You name it. I mean, each person is different, each crime is different, each survivor is different. So for some people, it might just be that helping hand, that listening ear who is there to hear you out, kind of provide some confidence, some hope, and to just be there for you. And in other times, I mean, our advocates are out there providing assistance with protection orders, providing emergency resources, whether that be emergency housing or transportation, really helping the client define what they need as far as their safety goes and as far as the safety of their children and their family members, and just meeting them where they're at. Our services aren't in any way, shape, or form mandatory. We're just here when somebody wants help, needs help, and after a crime has been perpetrated upon a person, they really sometimes just need help navigating the whole process. What do I do next? So that's what Someplace Safe does.
I think it's interesting. I think that's the struggle with a lot of human services industries is there is so many things probably available to a person, but after either a traumatic event or being frustrated, like they just don't know where to start. So you become sort of this first place to go to kind of figure out and navigate that. I like the way that you use the term advocates too. They're not just sort of, hi, this is a professional person. No, they're advocating on your behalf based on, individualized, either traumatic events or sort of issues or whomever is in that survivor role. There's not like a one out of the box solution to everything, right? There's sort of, you personalize everything based on their own needs and rather than anything else.
Absolutely. Our, we don't have a, standard client. Sure. I mean, if you think of a crime like domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking even, these things can happen to anyone. Mm-hmm. It's not just a particular type of person or someone of a particular age or gender. It can happen to really anyone. Our agency serves over 4,000 clients a year throughout our 9-county region in west central Minnesota. So it really can happen to, family members, friends, neighbors, coworkers. Someplace Safe is just here to really help navigate that path and help a person go and heal from victim to survivor.
Interesting. Part of the interesting part about Someplace Safe too is that you also sort of run some thrift stores in order to gain revenue to provide some of these services, right? And we've got one or two of those.
Yeah, we have 2 thrift stores. One is located in Alexandria, Minnesota, and the other is located in Morris, Minnesota. And the great thing about these thrift stores is not only is it providing the communities and the surrounding areas with a great affordable option for shopping. It's also providing our clients with the things that they need. Let's say someone is leaving a unsafe situation, leaving a dangerous relationship, and literally all they have is clothing on their backs. I mean, this happens, unfortunately, more frequently than you would think. Our stores are able to provide them with furniture, household items, kitchen items, clothing, things that you would need to rebuild your life in a new home. And those are free of charge. So it's really helping take our clients to that next level. You know, if someone needs, let's say, clothing for a job interview, or, you know, kids need to enroll in a new school and they need school clothes. I mean, that's really what our thrift stores are doing, is to help ease that path for our clients, and just, you know, let them know that we are there for them.
Right, and that makes one less excuse to sort of go back to a relationship that's a little broken, or massively broken. You know, worried about the basic needs, and if we don't go back, how are we going to sustain ourselves? And so, we'll bear the burden of whatever violence is at home, just to get roof over our head and food and on sort of basic needs and clothing, and that's provided out of there. And that alone would be a wonderful and just standalone mission and vision. But I have an assumption, maybe a large one, but I bet, like most nonprofits, they have these big, hairy, audacious goals and these plans that you'd love to make. So is there something that Someplace Safe has, or you'd love to see in the future, that you'd really love to get on paper and plan and execute at some point in time? Someplace Safe, big, hairy, audacious goals.
Oh, the biggest goal.
Yes.
Well, as you can imagine, there are like 100 of those in the back of my head at all times. But one of the barriers to receiving services that many of our victims have is transportation. We serve clients in very rural and remote areas of Minnesota, and transportation can be a huge issue, to either leaving a dangerous situation, leaving a domestic situation, leaving a situation where you're just, it's unhealthy. And not having ample transportation can be the reason why someone, doesn't leave. So my big goal, if you could say, would be to one day maybe have like mobile Someplace Safe, where, we have those mobile offices, mobile buses, whatever you say, and we are able to get to those remote areas, show up in the most rural of towns, rural areas, and just have our staff there to meet the client where they're at, instead of them having to be so concerned, how do I get there, when do I get there, when's the next payday, my vehicle's broken down, or my abuser, for example, is my transportation.
Right.
So if we could just meet them there, that'd be amazing. I think we would need a fleet of buses.
You throw that out into the universe, there's somebody listening who's going to get a fleet of buses. It's going to say yes to this.
Yes, but just traveling all over our 9-county region and bringing our advocacy and spreading the message of safety, options, and hope to the victims in our surrounding communities would be amazing.
Yeah, I think so too. And there's a lot of, I would imagine there's a lot of organizations that deal with, crime victim services of all sort of arrangements, I suppose. But what makes Someplace Safe different than any other organization? What do you do so differently that's successful than other sort of organizations within the same realm of helping individuals?
Sure. Well, Someplace Safe, as I kind of began describing at the beginning of our conversation here, is available to all victims of crime. So it doesn't matter, your age, it doesn't matter your gender, it doesn't matter your income level. It is available to everyone, and all our services are free. You think of a crime type, think of the various ways that a person can be victimized, and we have staff trained and available to help you. If you've been assaulted, harassed, we have clients that come to us with issues of identity theft. It's not just domestic violence, as a lot of people would think.
Right.
A large bulk of our clients are victimized by domestic violence, but that's not all we do. All survivors are welcome at Someplace Safe, and I think that's really cool.
You serve such a rural area too. I mean, there's not a lot of organizations that can probably serve such a large swath of communities in the area, is there?
Well, we cover 9 counties, so
It's
it's
crazy.
huge. It's huge. And the great thing is when you call, I mean, if you are in need after hours, you can call our 24-hour crisis line,
Mm,
and someone will answer, and we will be able to connect you with resources all over our 9 county service area, which is huge if you think of it.
yeah,
Um,
it's
I mean,
unbelievable.
we're ready for you if you need help
Yeah,
after hours.
that's crazy. You know, part of this, wonderful opportunity to talk to nonprofits like yours is, the whole, especially in, crime victim, if that's part of your mission statement, it's very dour and dire at sometimes. And I think people get the misconception there's no joy and there's no, whatever. You've got a bunch of documented successes and success
Absolutely.
stories of individuals. And I think that is really, I love hearing about this. So is there any sort of documented successes that you've had at someplace safe that you'd be willing to kind of share with us? Again, no names and places, I get that, but
Oh,
any success stories that you can kind of share with on why it's so important to have an organization like yours exist?
sure. I mean, we have success stories every single day. As you can imagine, serving over 4,000 clients a year, we definitely love to hear about success stories and how our supporters are able to make that possible. So if I had to pick one off the top of my head, one that sticks out to me would be a mother who actually showed up at one of our offices with her 2 small children. Now she didn't have any transportation. um, the person that she was living with, unfortunately, I think took her car, or I can't remember, but she didn't have any transportation. She actually lost her part-time job because her abuser took her car and she couldn't get to work, and unfortunately she lost her job. She was living in a dangerous household, and she made the choice to take her kids out of there and get to someplace safe. She had actually heard of our organization through a friend at work.
Hmm.
So she showed up, and she had no idea what to do. She just said, help. And our advocates were able to put her in emergency housing with her 2 children, and give her, I believe it was just some taxi vouchers, bring her some clothing, make sure that they had all the toiletries and everything that she needed, and make
Mm-hmm.
sure that, they had food and that they were safe, first of all. That's first and foremost. And after those basic needs were taken care of, then she was able to start the actual process of, okay, what do I need and how can I keep my family safe and where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Um, it wasn't a quick process. I mean, it took some time. Our advocates worked with her for a couple of months, but fast forward to current day, she's working. Her girls are enrolled in school. Um, they're doing great. She has the legal protection she needs, and they're thriving now, and that's huge. I mean, she went from no job, no money, no vehicle, no hope, to now living this great life and doing well. And I mean, a huge advocate for someplace safe now, based on her own experience. So we love to hear things like that.
And I think some of that too is when you're in a situation like that, and I'm not, privy to any of it or can even rationalize what that's like. But I imagine that you can't see past sort of a day to get into a place that I am, experiencing joy, I'm healthy, and I'm, safe, because you don't know where the next meal is going to be, clothing is going to be, where you're going to stay, kind of things. Like you got to get past those basic need pieces, and
Survival mode, yes.
yeah, you're in survival mode. Yeah,
Yep.
great way. Yeah. And so to
Yeah.
provide that for them, to give them the opportunity to get into a position where they actually fully recover from, this, utter trauma, I think is a wonderful tribute to, and wonderful success stories all over the place. That's great. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Outstanding. All right. So we always, nonprofits don't like to celebrate a lot. We think it's bragging. It's not. And I think part of this show and it is so fun to celebrate big wins, small wins, and everything in between.
Absolutely.
Let's hear a big win, small win, anything in between for our someplace safe.
Well, I think I shared this with you earlier. I finally have my office decorated.
Yes.
I mean, we're going on 9 or 10 years, and I actually like hung things up. I think I'm gonna stay.
Here's the thing about that though, and I think if you're a development director or you're somebody who works at a nonprofit thing, and to hear like a big win being decorated on the table, everybody's nodding their head yes. And if you're a donor or you're a supporter of an organization, you think like, how in the hell can that be an actual big win? Is because you do so much every single day that you don't take time for yourself to just get situated because you're always going. That's an
Yes.
awesome win. I like that.
Yeah, it's decorated and it's cute. And actually, the funny thing is, this is not my office. I sat in someone else's office for this today.
I
can't even show you.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny. I like it. I like
I
it.
should have showed it off.
Oh, you're so funny. All right. So, hey, there's a lot of people and a lot of organizations that probably deserve a lot of credit for where you are as an organization. Is there one person, organization, or a group of businesses that need a shout out today as sort of showing appreciation for helping someplace safe?
Oh gosh, where would I even start? I don't even know where I would even start.
You could pick one and two or whatever you want.
Well, I'll tell you. Someplace Safe has 600 to 700 volunteers every single year.
Jeez.
I'm not even kidding. We really couldn't do what we do without our volunteers. Whether they're helping us fundraise, they're volunteering on the crisis line, they are helping with office work, they're tracking criminal court cases for us. Our volunteers are the best, and honestly, we couldn't do what we do without them. Our clients couldn't do what they do without them. So I guess my shout out today would be to our amazing volunteers, all 600 to 700 of them.
We're just going to lump them together because I think listing off their names would be an incredible.
Well, be here a while.
It'd be one of the more interesting podcasts. We're just going to go list down 700 volunteers. If your name's here, push a like. I mean, it's a great marketing plan. I'll go with you on that one. Hey, as being on a guest, I want to show my appreciation to you as well, and I'd love to help with any sort of fundraising question that you might have. How can I be of help for fundraising to Someplace Safe?
Well, as you know, Someplace Safe encompasses a huge geographical area, 9 counties. As you can imagine, there are a ton of charities and nonprofits throughout those 9 counties. How do we stand out amongst all of them?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think a lot of nonprofits have that particular question. So part of what my suggestion would be is really concentrate on your point of difference. I think a lot of people try to claw at the top and say, hey, these people do this, so we better emulate them, or this organization is great, we should do what they're doing. And that kind of really gets you into that muddled thing. I think you embrace. There's a great phrase that I love is in a field of unicorn or a field of horses, be a unicorn. In a field of horses, be a unicorn. So what is your unicorn status, right? So what do you do? What does Someplace Safe do better than everybody else? And what makes you stand apart and different in being an advocate for any specific act of violence regardless? And I think that might be one of them, right? You're encompassing everything. You're probably one of the only or the largest first stops for all things violence in the community, and probably all 9 counties. And probably the thing that is interesting is that you serve so many different individuals that somebody at some point is probably connected to somebody in those counties who has had an act of violence upon them. And I think the point of difference there and how you stand out is that everybody, regardless of where you are in a position, is connected to violence, and we're here to help. And we've probably got a hook in you at some point in different times because we're the only ones doing the stuff that we're doing.
Right. Okay.
So in a field of horses, be a unicorn, stand out. What's your point of difference? And that's where you start on these whole little things. All right. Well, and this is unbelievable because this goes way too fast, is that we've come to the end of our interview, and that makes me sad. But what makes me full of joy is for everybody who's listening or watching out there, and they're listening to you and saying, I'm really intrigued about Someplace Safe. I want to help as much as I possibly can. Here, take all of my money. How do they get a hold of you? And what would you like to promote? The floor is yours. How can we help Someplace Safe?
Great. Well, Someplace Safe has a whole bunch of events coming up. So if you would like to attend one of our amazing fundraisers, we have 3 coming up in February. One is our annual tea fundraiser in Fergus Falls. Another is our annual Purple Power fundraiser in Breckenridge. And the other one is the Purse and Yeti Bingo fundraiser in Glenwood, where instead of cash for your bingo winnings, you are winning either purses or Yeti coolers or cups. So I'm pretty excited to go to that one. Those are all in February, and you can just hop onto our website, www.someplacesafe.info, and you can check out more information on those events and then all the other things, great happenings and exciting things coming up at Someplace Safe. If you have more questions for me, I can be contacted at 218-739-3486, extension 222.
And is there a giant donate button on your website? So just in case
There
I don't need a Yeti cooler, but I want to give you a giant check. Can I still do that?
Yes, always.
Always.
www.someplacesafe.info.
Excellent. And we'll put all of that information in the show notes as always. Ashley, thank you so much for being a part of the show. I think it's very important that people know that A, this exists, and B, that you're doing incredible work helping a ton of people who do not necessarily want to be known, but unfortunately are put into situations, and you do it with a smile and joy because you know you're making a difference. So thank you so much for being on the official Do Good Better podcast. Check them out Someplace Safe. Thank you so much for being an awesome guest today.
Thanks for having me, Patrick.
Outstanding.